Alrighty. Alrighty. We're waiting for the screen to pop up here so I can know that it's all good. Let me reload this real fast. And we're going to get right to business if everything is as it should be. I'm just waiting for this mechanism here to act right. For some odd reason, there's no camera. I'm not seeing any. There we go. Bang, bang. There we go. Alrighty. Excuse me. Boom. Here we go. So, good evening to my brothers and my sisters. Before I start reading this article to you guys, I'm going to read something from the book of Enoch that will resonate once we actually get all the way into it. You see what I'm saying? And it's it's very quick, right? But it's very much to the point. And this is verse 10 of chapter 91 of the book of Enoch. And it says, "And the righteous shall arise from their sleep, and wisdom shall arise and be given unto them. And afterwards the roots of unrighteousness shall be cut off, and the sinners shall be destroyed by the sword, and the blasphemers destroyed in every place. And those who plan violence," this is the most important part, "and those who plan violence, and those who commit blasphemy shall perish by the sword." Now, this man didn't commit blasphemy outwardly even if he said that these people are fake Jews. No. He did exactly what they said. He planned violence, he committed it, but he fell by the sword. I can only assume that the Most High God was not with him and that this man may have blasphemed the Most High God. Can you dig that? We're going to keep it forward. We're going to keep it pushing. Just in case anybody forgot, Demetrius Antoine Jones does these 2019 weekly updates because we were supposed to get free this year. Remember, our 400-year struggle is supposed to be over. And these same dirty bastards, the black Hebrew Israelites, were the ones who promoted that nonsense first. And I'm glad that it's coming back upon their heads in righteous form. We've only got 19 more days left for the so-called year of 2019. Something miraculous and drastic would have to happen. Just keeping it pushing. So it says there's a correction to this article, and it's saying that Francine Graham, it said that she lived in New Jersey. She lived in Elizabeth, not Elizabethport. Now let's just go ahead and talk about several things before they talk about corrections. We're gonna look up this dude David Anderson real quick, right? And I know a lot of y'all probably didn't do it when it first happened, but I actually knew about this when it first happened. Like, it was a breaking story, and I followed it. And this character, David Anderson, and Francine Graham were two different people when the initial reports happened. And David Graham, as you're going to see, is a darker skinned man whose beard is partition, meaning that it doesn't grow all the way in. However, look at this brother right here. And that's the chick who went with him. Let's see if it gets just a little bit bigger. Okay, so look, this is the point that I'm proving. Partition beard. Right? Outside of that, black chick. The guy that they had up here before, let's just see if we can find it. It was a light-skinned dude with dreads with a beard and a half-breed chick, right? And what I really thought they were trying to do was I thought they were trying to throw the light-skinned people who like to identify as light-skinned, I thought they were trying to throw them under the bus. Yeah, his picture's not up here anymore. They took that picture down because they already know what it is. Now, the title, red flagged, body bagged, and toe tagged. It gets no more plainer than that. I'm going to go over each one of these scenarios in my mind, how it played out, as opposed to what they're saying took place. Bear with me. An assailant involved in a prolonged firefight in New Jersey that left 6 people dead, including an officer, was linked Wednesday to the Black Hebrew Israelite movement and has published anti-Semitic posts online, a law enforcement official said. Now there we go right there. What's anti-Semitic? It could be you saying that they're not the real Jews, and they could say that that's anti-Semitic. However, we're going to keep it pushing. Because if you're saying that these guys having a strangler's grip on every single industry is anti-Semitic, you don't even make sense. Like, they're trying to live in what the Most High God is supposed to have done for the people after he restores them. And they're not the people, but we're going to keep it pushing. Where every nation pays homage to them. The violent rampage on Tuesday took place largely at a kosher supermarket where 3 bystanders were killed. The authorities believe the store owner was specifically targeted by the assailants, whom they identified as David Anderson and Francine Graham. Now listen right here. There's no proof to this. None whatsoever. There's no proof to that. All you really know is, I'm going to read this. Mr. Anderson appeared to have a connection to the Black Hebrew Israelite movement through the extent of his involvement, though the extent of his involvement in that group remains unclear. So he might have just been a dude who was just trying to see what was popping and might not even be with them. But do you see how they're trying to paint the picture right now? Black Hebrew Israelites are now on the same tier as Islamic extremist Muslims. They hit that same level in one hit. The Black Hebrew Israelites has no connection with mainstream Judaism and has been described as a hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center, a legal advocacy group that tracks such movements. Okay. Now here we go. There's no way that they can verify that this man targeted this location, because let me tell you something. Why shoot it out with the cops? Why not already be there? It doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. The authorities also suspected the 2 assailants may have been involved in a separate killing in neighboring Bayonne, New Jersey, according to New Jersey Attorney General Juber S. Gruel, or Gerber. If his name is Gerber, hell of a name. Among those killed Tuesday were the 3 bystanders when the shootout began. They're identified as, here we go. She's gotten older and older and older. At first she was 31, then she was 32, now she's 33. Mendel Ferences, who ran the market with her husband, Mosh Duish, 24, a rabbinical student who lives in Brooklyn. Miguel Rodriguez, who may have worked at the store. Listen, let me go ahead and break something down to y'all real quick. If they wanted this dude dead, they wouldn't have killed nobody, been sitting and waiting in a... Listen, y'all, if they wanted this dude dead, the same way that they shot it out for hours, they could have walked in the store, iced this dude, and left. That's how fast it would have happened. Don't believe the hype. The New Jersey police officer who was killed on Tuesday was identified as Joe Seals, a 15-year law enforcement veteran and a father of 5. Unfortunate for him. Thousands of people gathered at 2 funerals. We're not going to read this bullshit because I could give a fuck about this. Listen, I don't care, right on. If it's anti-Semitic to say that I can prove they're not from the seed of Abraham, I can prove that they're not Semitic. If that's anti-Semitic, then it is. But I've proven it before and the video got taken down off of YouTube. Don't worry, I'm on my way to redoing another one. But they have no idea, like, you know. Listen. Let me just go ahead and get past this. There we go. An assailant had links to the Black Hebrew Israelites. Investigators also found a manifesto-style note inside the assailant's van, the law enforcement official and another official with the case. A document which described it as brief and rambling, suggesting no clear motive for the shooting. So listen, you're saying he's anti-Semitic. You're saying he's connected to this group. Yet you're saying what you found in the van doesn't... Do you guys see why I'm like, please get the fuck out of here? While the exact beliefs of Black Hebrew Israelites vary among the groups associated with the movements, followers generally believe the 12 tribes of Israel defined in the Old Testament are different ethnic groups or nations, and that white people are not among them. First off, they're wrong in their whole assessment of the situation. Only certain people of the tribes. With that said, if you breed a cat with a dog, if it was possible, how long, if they keep breeding with cats, are they not gonna, until you say, you know, it's no longer a dog, it's a cat, and vice versa. If it breeds with the dogs, how long until it's no longer a cat and it's just a dog? So that whole mentality is illogical and it's not sensible. And this is why the Jews can come at them, so-called Jews, but we're going to call them the Jews so that way they can have that. They mostly trade in anti-Semitism, said Heidi Barrick, the director of intelligence at the Intelligence Project at the Southern Poverty Law Center. They view Jews as imposters because they are. Listen. If that makes you anti-Semitic, do you know how many people in the people in the Middle East don't even think that they're Israel? They know they're not Israelites. They don't think they're Jews. Okay? So you can't be mad at people who live here, and there's people who live closer to Israel who don't believe you're the people. Sit down. Now we're going to skip through all this Holocaust survivors nonsense. Here we go. David Anderson was in the Army Reserve. This explains why he was able to do what he was able to do. 1999 to 03 and achieved the rank of specialist. He repaired field and electrical systems. Had a previous criminal record for weapon offenses in 04 and 07. Spent more than a year in jail for the 07 charge. In 2017, he and Francine Graham met, according to neighbors. One moment. I don't know why it just went up like that. He and Graham met while they were neighbors in 2017, who he had lived above her since 2011. When Miss Graham moved into a housing development in Elizabeth, New Jersey, from the block in Harlem where she grew up, she was polite, diligent, hardworking, home health aide, and the neighbor, and who did not wish to be named. Said the neighbor who she was nice, had a caring nurture. She was a stand-up person. Do you see how this is crazy? But meeting Mr. Anderson, she changed, the neighbor said, describing her transformation as Jekyll and Hyde. Anderson seemed to move in with Miss Graham within days of meeting her. The neighbor described Mr. Anderson as a loser, not pleasant, and kind of overpowering, and someone with whom he had squabbles. Little no backbone having ass motherfucker, right? When she had the wool over her eyes and didn't care about nothing, she was a good person. Word. Listen, let me tell y'all something. If one dude and one chick, two scrubs, okay, I'm gonna call them scrubs. If two scrubs brought the New Jersey Police Department to their knees, so much so that the ATF and the FBI had to become involved, it's telling you the gravity of the situation. Listen, they called the NYPD in for help. Why these articles aren't talking about that? Why they needed all the help? Doesn't even make sense. Now we're going to say, eventually in 2018, her condo went into foreclosure. She and Mr. Anderson were evicted, but they repeatedly busted into their former home to spend the day there, leaving each day around 6 p.m. Okay, so these are two black people who are feeling the whatever of the system, right? Because a person can say she was this, she was that, she was this, she was that, but was me being no backbone, ass kissing the only reason why I had a job? You see what I'm saying? Is that the only reason why I work here? Do you not respect my ethic? Do you not respect the quality of the work that I bring? And then because these things are never answered and they're always speculated, it's easy to say that dude is a loser, this, that, and the other. But as far as I'm concerned, you feel me? He served in the National Guard. That's service to America. I mean, you're not that much of a loser if you do that. You can't be. Okay? So who's saying this? The neighbor who doesn't want to be identified, calling the dude a loser. Probably a white guy or a Jew. Let's keep it pushing. This is in quotes. We now know that this did not begin with gunfire between police officers and perpetrators and then moved to the store. It began with an attack on the civilians inside the store. Listen. Here we go. Initially, investigators said that the attack was randomly chose to market and the episode was not a hate crime. Mr. Shea added on Tuesday, there was no indication of terrorism. So being affiliated with the Black Hebrew Israelites in any way, shape, or form made this dude. I need y'all to understand the gravity of Red Flagistan. This shit is fucking deep. It's not as simple as people think there is. Now, I want y'all to understand this. We're about to read about this dude getting laid out. Ask yourself, why is his training not different? Detective Joseph Seals approached the two assailants who were inside a U-Haul van near a cemetery because the van had been linked to a homicide over the weekend, according to law enforcement. Okay, stop right there. This guy doesn't call for backup. As far as I'm concerned, his weapon's not at the ready because they laid his ass out and were able to keep it pushing. So not only is his training inadequate, right on, but the way that the situation was handled was followed on by more inadequacies. We're gonna keep it reading. Investigators believe the assailants then shot. They believe, they don't know. They don't know, but they believe this shit. Then shot the detective. Video surveillance footage shows them driving away towards the kosher market. Let me tell you what happened. Dude walked up, trying to not cause no kind of problems or funk with them, right? Was probably asking them for registration. Whoever was not the driver, blast his ass. Okay? Stole whammy this whole shit. I want you guys to understand this. If you believe this to be a vehicle linked in a homicide, why would you approach this? It's like the approach of that was so reckless and so, man, it is disgusting. Body bagged and toe tagged. Don't worry, that's what they get. Because they never feel bad for black people who grew up in the hood or so-called urban environments who get killed by the police and ain't got nothing to do with this. So I don't feel bad for a guy who's just doing this. It's part of your job. Your job is dangerous. They tell it to us all the time how dangerous their job is. This is just the reality of their job. Keeping it pushing. And I'm not saying no prayers for nobody's families. I don't feel nothing for nobody. I don't feel nothing for these two scrub-ass motherfuckers who did it. And I don't feel nothing for none of them. Listen, Demetrius Antoine Jones told these motherfuckers over a year ago when he got his ERPO, all right, what was going to happen. Okay? And because they think that disarming people is the solution, and don't worry, I'm going to go to the little naval article where guy says that you need to arm us. But you guys are going to get to see how they're way different. You know what I'm saying? This is way different. Now check this right here out. You're telling me that they for sure, they don't know. Listen, there's no way of knowing who killed these people inside the supermarket. It's just easy to say that they did it. The reason why we're going to read this next article next is because you guys need to understand what really happened. Because I'm trying to tell you, what they're telling us is not what happened. Once again, two scrubs inside of a store. Hold off. I mean, short of the National Guard, you called everybody that you could. Think about that. It says, as the prolonged firefight went on, helicopters circled overhead as police officers swarmed the streets. They aimed handguns and long guns in every direction as they traveled down the street in formations, knocking on doors and rushing residents and business owners to safety. This is one of the biggest gunfights I've seen in a while, said Willie McDonald, who lives in the area, and I've been in Vietnam. Right, he's just let y'all know it went the fuck down. So do you know how many rounds that these guys had to have? A shit ton. They had to, once again, there's no way that you're telling me. And people are like, why are you calling them scrubs if they were able to hold them off? I'm like, because it's just two people. They should have been able to flashbang, concuss their way into their word, and pretty much overwhelm these guys almost instantly. But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. And they ended up driving a fucking bulldozer through the wall. You know, I mean, not a bulldozer, but a big ass, like AAV type vehicle. You know what I'm saying? A personnel type vehicle. They drove right through the wall of the fucking business. So, excuse my language. So, worried about the damage on the inside of the interior, that's nonsense. You know? We're skipping past all this other nonsense real quick. We're just going to keep reading the really... There we go. 2 members of the Hasidic community and a worker were killed. There we go. Hasidic community leaders. Do you know who the Hasidic people are? They're the Assyrians. Right out the book of the Maccabees. And no other time in scripture are they ever brought up. I just thought I'd let y'all know that. And they disappear in the book of the Maccabees as well. We're going to skip past all this stuff. The shooters are prime suspects in another killing. They're dead now. On Wednesday morning, detectives were at the Jersey City kosher market canvassing the crime scene as a number of ununiformed police officers stood watch outside. Officers also believe the 2 attackers in Jersey City were connected to the death of another Jersey City resident who was found beaten to death in the trunk of a car nearby Bayonne on Saturday night. The man, Michael Rumberger, 34, who was found inside of a Lincoln Town car with a massive head trauma, according to Hudson County's prosecutor office. Mr. Gruhl, the state attorney general, said that Mr. Anderson and Ms. Graham were currently the prime suspects in the case. Now, once again, if these people are suspects in a murder, You think walking up and just being all nonchalant with them is the way that you bring them down? No, you bring those motherfuckers down with force. Why couldn't the detective mount up? Basic surveillance. It's just there's so many questions, so many questions. 15-year veteran or not, there's just if these people supposedly killed somebody, you got to take them for the word on that. Man, this is crazy. The market was part of a budding Jewish community. Whatever, we're moving past all this bullshit. We could care less. Now we're on to the next article. The next real thing. I just want y'all to read this title for a moment and let it sink in. At least 18 officers opened fire in Florida shootout that killed 4. That's what the union says. At least, so we're going to say 20 cops opened fire. Can you feel me? 20 of them. On 2 people who there's no way of knowing if these guys were really, I don't know if these guys really had a gun or not, right on. They say they did. But 2 guys with guns versus 20. Mind you, they claim that an innocent bystander was killed as well, right? Why this is so important, why this is so crucial, is because it's hard for me to believe that these 2 guys, you guys got to understand, they're in a UPS truck. They're not inside of a concrete store. And there's 18 officers. You guys really think that these dudes were able to return fire effectively? Or do you believe that the officers killed them, the UPS driver, and the bystander, or the person who was stuck in their car? Right. Look at some of these pictures. Look at that. Look at that. Anybody sitting in this general area has no time to return fire, y'all. Not from here. Not without the chance of being struck, man. Stop it. They Lotus flowered the fucking truck, dog. That's one of the dudes who got killed. And that's the other brother that got killed. Now, it just so happened to be black dudes. It just so happened to shoot it out with the cops. I could go to the fact that it was an Arab dude, Egyptian, whatever the fuck, Saudi dude, who lost his mind on the base, right? But we're not even worried about that. Or the little black-looking Hispanic dude, right? And how they both were around the same age. And we're not even going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about how these two jokers are in their 40s, right? They're older, just like the people who just did this shit in Jersey are older. We're not going to talk about none of that. I'm not going to talk about MK Ultra right now. I just want y'all to listen. At least 18 officers, the majority from the Miami-Dade police, fired their guns Thursday afternoon as a jewelry store robber shot at them. Rod Skirvin, the president for the Broward County Police Benevolent Association, said Monday. Officers chased a hijacked UPS truck from Coral Gables to Miramar after the robbers held up a Regent Jewelers on Miracle Mile in Coral Gables. Killed in the gunfire were the robbers, Lamar Alexander and Ronnie Hill Jerome, the kidnapped UPS driver, and Frank Ordonez, a commuter who was in his car, Richard Cutshaw. The number of officers who fired shot is among few details to become available since the shootout. Police agencies involved have released very little information despite multiple requests for public records by the South Florida Sun Sentinel. Police haven't yet released the names of the officers who fired shots. I want y'all to understand how deep this shit is. Among the unanswered question is, whose bullets killed the 4 people? We don't know who shot who yet, said Stedman Stahl, president of the Miami-Dade Police Benevolent Association, which is representing the 13 Miami-Dade officers involved. 13 of them. So at least 5 other officers from other places. But we're going to say 20. So we're going to say 7 other officers from other places. A spokesman for the Broward Medical Examiner's Office said Monday that all the recovered projectiles were turned over to the FBI and Florida Department of Law Enforcement, 2 agencies conducting investigations. For analysis and comparison with weapons used, examiners will perform a comparison of the rifling, the lands, and grooves to determine which round came from which gun. The police agency's actions instantly fell under scrutiny by the public and by Ordonez's family. Of course! Ordonez's stepdad, Joe Marino, said the police acted inappropriately in the shootout. Ordonez had been kidnapped in a UPS truck and should have been saved, not killed amid the gunfire. The police are here to serve and protect, but Where was the protection for my son? Remember, I asked last week. I don't know, bro, and it's fucked up because that's what I got to talk to y'all about. Is again the lack of training. So notice how one officer, a detective, 15-year vet, cost himself his own life. And then in another instance, we have where these dudes don't even act like there's a hostage. They just straight okay corral this shit. Man, it's fucking crazy. Excuse my language. Shaw said the robbers shooting at police underscored the dangers officers must face. It is a dangerous time we are living in. He said more focus should be on the bad guys who put everything into play. No, it should be your training. If you can't motherfucking do your job, you shouldn't be able to be out there. Right? Right. Shaw said officers have a heightened awareness of the importance of confronting a shooter, especially after last year's massacre at Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, in which a shooter killed 17 and wounded 17 others. Parkland changed everything, Shaw said. We trained to engage the shooter. If they didn't do it and something bad happened, people would ask, why didn't you engage them? Why did you allow this to happen? If there's an active shooter, we're going after them. If we lived in a perfect world, we'd have bullets that only hit bad guys. Did you hear him? Did you hear him? Wow! Wow! Did you fucking hear that? And I'm supposed to feel bad for a detective that got his shit pushed back because he was reckless? Please. Skirvin, whose union is representing officers for two of the agencies, Miramar and Pembroke Pines, said officers who were forced to save their own lives by returning fire at the robbers who were trying to kill them. We're trained that if there's an active shooter to shoot back, contain the threat, and eliminate the threat. This is crazy. No police were wounded in the shooting. Y'all do realize, listen, you guys do understand that once these police officers piss off an actual street gang, I don't know what state it's going to be. There's going to be an all-out literal war. They're going to have to call in the fucking National Guard. Nobody sees it. I see it coming. It is like plain as day, but I'm just going to keep it pushing. 3 officers, maybe a 4th from Miramar, at least 1, possibly a 2nd, I told y'all. And a trooper from the Highway Florida Patrol. I told y'all, 20 of them. Both Miramar and Miami-Dade police acknowledge their officers involved have been placed on administrative leave. So they get paid for killing somebody. Let me talk to y'all about something that me and my father spoke about. Me and my father were talking today and yesterday. It was like a carry-on conversation. It was really nice. Because we were talking about how these police officers commit acts of great violence against other people, but yet they're not treated like criminals. But they get put on paid administrative leave. But if you protect yourself, they treat you like a criminal until they can clear you. The level and the standards that they've created, the double standard, is so egregious because they're going to blame the criminals for this young man getting killed, right? So what about the guy who was in his car? Right. In a perfect world, you guys would just be trained better. That's it. And would be taking kill shots only. In a perfect world, you'd put out a fucking strip. Anyway, these dudes are pathetic, man. They're fucking garbage. And you know what's funny? Is that Florida is a Jew state. Most people never talk about that. But Florida is a Jew-ran state. Florida never blew up until they started investing hella money down there. But it was like the retiree spot for Jewish people. A lot of people know that. But I'm just throwing that out there. Skirvin based the preliminary information available. The officers, Skirvin said, based on the preliminary information available, the officers' actions were justified and the union support them. This is crazy. He said officers wanted to make sure the 2 robbers didn't make another hostage to kill someone in traffic. He said that the SWAT team and a hostage negotiator were still en route, and these guys were actively shooting and trying to kill people. He called the killing of the UPS driver and the commuter a tragedy and said it's a very emotional experience for an officer to have to take a life. And it's a lifelong event for them to deal with. Fuck them. He said the officers are emotionally distraught. Our number one goal is protection of citizens. He expects training to improve. I'm sure you fucking do, you punk faggot. The situation will be analyzed many times over, he said, and we will try to improve our training, our tactics to prevent the loss of life. They're fucking pathetic. It should have never happened. It should have never happened, y'all. Ever. Anyway, let me go ahead and just take this down. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's madness. It's madness. And they expect people to just take that shit and just be like, you know what, it's okay, it's all right, but it's not all right. It's not okay. Look, man, let me tell you guys something. You know, what's popping, everybody? The way it's going down right now is a lot of people will never really appreciate nor understand the level of complicated, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a matrix, really, the entire situation. And there's a lot of folks who for the better or for worse, you know what I'm saying, don't have to deal with any of it because it's not the reality. You know what I'm saying? You know, 1 second. Damn. Anyhow, it's just one of those things where I'm putting it in, and ain't nobody ever gonna be able to tell me that I didn't put it in the right way. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling y'all stuff that I have yet to see anybody else break down to the people. They're not gonna break down to the people because they don't understand it. Okay? If they understood it, they would totally be able to reconcile the things that I'm putting forward. Okay? One of the most painful things about this entire situation was how black people were still somehow made out of everything. I mean, it's like somehow, some way, shape, and form, with the Jewish people, they managed to say some shit like the Holocaust survivor. They still find a way to bring up Holocaust, right? But they never talk about, you know, like somebody whose family might have survived, you know, Jim Crow, right? Might have been around for one of the last modern lynchings, which was a lot more recent. It was like the 70s or something like that they admit. Follow me. They never talk about people being survivors of those. They never talk about black people and the trauma that their family may have had to survive in order to be where they're at in that moment. And for somebody to always, you know, I mean, people bring up the Holocaust, but black people fought in World War II and died. Okay? So I don't want to hear nothing about no Holocaust, man. Black people fought in World War I. Okay? And died. I don't want to hear nothing about none of that stuff. When I say what I'm saying, I say it because I stand on a solid piece of ground. They're trying to bring it to where the red flag can be thrown on anybody at any time. But just know, our little glimmer of hope is with the what's my man's name? I can't think of the little Navy dude's name right now. I'm not gonna pull up the article, but no, I will, just because I got nothing better to do. But this guy, right? He says after, you know what I'm saying? He's like arm us, you know. So you're getting these two totally different sentiments from the people, you know. And regardless if one is a what's the word I'm looking for? It's like a domestic terrorism. So one's like military, and then these other guys are like civilians outside of the police. Even in that instance, they're still just human beings. They're still just people, and that has to be viewed like that. You know, you can't make it something that it's not. One moment. Arm us. Yep, there we go. Bang, bang, bang. And I'll pull this up and I'll share the screen real quick. So, Navy Pensacola shooting leads Navy instructor pilots to tell brass, top brass, not just any, the top brass, arm us. You know how long these guys have been going on that base? Unarmed? Can't have a gun and shit like that? For forever. Because it's like that on most bases, if not all of them. Follow me. A group of U.S. Navy instructors, pilots, asked top military brass for permission to arm themselves in the wake of the shooting at Naval Air Station, Pensacola, Florida, where a Saudi military pilot gunned down 3 American sailors and wounded 8 others. One of the shooting victims was captain of the U.S. Navy Academy Rifle Team, an excellent marksman, according to his brother. It's so stupid. One moment. Let's get to what the young man is saying. With the article, let us go. It's so stupid that on the military base, the shooter was allowed to roam free for so long, according to one instructor pilot. In a gunfight, that's an eternity. The pilot, like others interviewed by Fox News, did not want his name used because, one moment, because he was not authorized to speak with the media. One of the pilots said Navy brass denied their request to arm themselves on base. 2 pilots said the Saudi shooter had 10 minutes to carry out his deadly assault on defenseless Navy sailors at the API, Aviation Pre-Flight Indoctrination Building. The Naval Aviation Safety School is located in the building. Is also located in the building. The instructor pilot said the incentive to arm was obvious. We need to protect not just the pilots, but our aircraft that are worth millions. One pilot cased base security at NAS Pensacola and other Navy bases, mall cops, because protection on the base has been outsourced to private security. And many were in fact not ashamed. Now let me go ahead and break something down to y'all. You guys do realize, and just ignore the ad. Let me go ahead and delete this out the way. Y'all do realize that guy's trying to say that we don't know what this motherfucker's full plans were. He might have had a plan to get one of our jets and do God knows what with it. Right. I don't think those things are armed down there. You know what I mean? Like when they're training them, but I don't know if they're armed or not. I wouldn't know. I'm not a Navy pilot. Oh. I have zero confidence. This is in quotes. The guy I show my ID card to at the gate can save me, one pilot added. It's an opinion shared across the military by many, including the U.S. Army. More than a dozen soldiers and an unborn child were gunned down at Fort Hood in 2009. We trust 18-year-old privates in combat with grenades and anti-tank missiles, rifles, machine guns, but we let service members get slaughtered because we don't trust anyone to be armed back here in the United States, a senior U.S. officer told Fox News. Why are we cowering in our offices? It's insane, the officer said. He's right, because you're trained to fucking confront this shit. The first responders at the shooting at the military base were cops off base, not members of the military, which the instructor pilots found insulting. Right, because we can protect ourselves. The gunman, Saudi Arabian Air Force Second Lieutenant Mohammed Saeed al-Shamrani, was shot and killed by a deputy from Escambia County Sheriff's Office. Charles Hogue, a police officer at the NAS Pensacola, and his partner were the first 2 law enforcement officers on scene Friday morning when the Saudi gunman opened fire inside the API classroom building. He was shot in the thigh, his son said. The paper said Hogue was able to assist other people in the building before escaping and was one of 3 law enforcement officers wounded in the shooting. The U.S. Marine Corps has provided armed Marines known as Guardian Angels to watch over training at the basic school for newly minted officers at Quantico, Virginia, outside the nation's capital. The Guardian Angels have watched over the young officers during the live fire training and were ready to respond. Some service members asked for a similar program for the Navy, even for flight school. Our message is simple: arm us. We don't want to count on cops or guard gates to save us in a crisis. There was no immediate comment for the U.S. Navy about the reversing policy when Fox News asked. Now look at that right there, y'all. Do you see how ass backwards that is? In one instance, you're telling the people, though none of y'all need guns. Then you have other guys they're trained. Listen to me, y'all. They're trained to go do freaking war in another country. Like the man said, we give them grenades, long rifles, machine guns, missile launchers. They're 18 years old, and we let them use that stuff. But back home, nobody's capable of taking care of themselves. Nonsense. Red Flagistan is going to come home to roost in a very weird way, and on that day, I'm going to be able to. I'm gonna be able to slow clap for at least 2 minutes straight, because it's gonna feel good to laugh at them, to know that they made the worst decision that they could have made. We're skipping past this because I don't care about none of this. Sucks that you got killed, bro. Bang, 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 bang. That's it. Got nothing else for you as far as that's concerned. I'm not even concerned about it. One moment. There we go. Whoa. Remove that. There we go. So, my people, while it doesn't seem like this is a real weekly update, this is actually one of the ones that I can't say I'm happy it came like this, but it did come. And the reason that it's so important is that you should really understand the gravity of the situation that we're in right now. You have an instance where this guy is clearly, I can't even call him whatever a terrorist is. You know what I'm saying? Right? Whatever you think a terrorist is, this guy came in here, right? Under the guise of being here for flight school. What I'm trying to point out to you guys is, how do you red flag somebody like that? Right? Do you just say we're done doing all cross training with every military now? You see how deep this shit goes? So it's like, once again, red flagistan it hasn't just touched the regular people. It's even got to the point where now the military is like, whoa, bro, we got to do something about this. It truly is unfortunate that folks don't care enough to protect themselves. And it's even more unfortunate when somebody will protect themselves and is not allowed to protect themselves. These guys are technically the closest. I mean, even though they don't have an ERPO on them, they're the closest thing that I can say in representation is close to what I am, right? Because on the base, they're not supposed to have a gun. If you get caught with a gun on base, you can get into some serious trouble. So if you don't want the funk and you don't want all those problems, one of your only options, one of your only things you can really do is follow the rules. Okay, so these guys are all following the rules. They're doing their jobs with all intent and purpose, y'all. Take me serious for a moment. They're dead now. They can't come back from that. Because the military has an ordinance that disarms people that would otherwise be in a combatant role if they were out of the country. And then, to make matters worse, to add insult to injury, the people who are supposed to be protecting them are folks who were way out of shape. This is why I called the old boy a scrub. Right on? Because you went and took over a whole store that was a concrete structure. Anyway, I'm not even going to go into all that. Scrub. But I do vary to say this. Those two, Mr. Anderson and Miss Graham, learned from the people who did what they did in Pensacola. Now, there's no robbery there, right? But what is there is they said, okay, if we drive around and shoot it out with the police, they'll just outnumber us. So you have police officers who, in one instance, I'm trying to tell you guys, they lotus flower the van, okay? With the exception of being able to shoot each other, I'm talking about they L-shape the van, okay? They put a work on those young people, on that young boy, you know what I'm saying? And those two men. And those two men, suffice it to say, they got what they deserved, y'all. People hate to hear that. People hate to hear that. But they got what they deserved. You know? You know? And it's just a really, really unfortunate thing because Old girl's not trained. Old dude was a little bit of trained. He brought them to their feet, to their knees. You're calling it NYPD, SWAT, counterterrorism guys? Jersey, I don't know if Jersey is not equipped to handle those situations like that, but their training totally inadequate. It's totally inadequate. I can't stress that to y'all enough. I'm not joking. They could have gave me a Kevlar helmet and a flak jacket and a pistol with 8 rounds in it, and I could have cleared them out. Just give me 2 flashbangs and a concussion. I got you. I got you. But these guys aren't acting like that, you know. They want to do what those cops did in Florida, which is surround you and then hope to murder you, right? With very little resistance. But they don't recognize. They just embolden a whole nother cast of characters. Because for every dude who's like, I got way more straps, I got way more bullets, and I'm a little bit better trained, I'm former infantry, I'm a former SEAL, former whatever. They're like, I could do way more than he could. And they don't have to be no black Hebrew Israelite. Might be a womb worshiping dude, might be a conscious dude. This is why the red flagistan is so thoroughly honest and real. If you don't appreciate it, you know what I'm saying, it'll really move past you. I don't want it to move past anybody. You know what I'm saying? I want it to be something that you can catch and that you can see. But you have different operating parts, and some are operating together. But I could see red flagistan leading to what would be known as the Civil War, the big one in America. I could very well see it. Because if there was a situation where the National Guard was called in, I could very well see weapon confiscation becoming a thing. And then that's when the real resistance comes. Not the skirmish that leads to the National Guard, but anyway. And people are like, Meats, that'll never happen. I'm like, you don't think so? You don't think that there's a small group of guys right now who don't have any fear in them of the law enforcement or anyone else for that matter? And for ulterior reasons, for reasons of greed. These niggas could be just like the dudes who were robbing the jewelry store. For reasons of greed. Bang it out, something vicious. It changes the whole way the situation is viewed. I wouldn't be surprised if they use drones that have bombs on them going forward, right? Because they're showing us that they're going to kill everybody. They're killing the hostages and everything. If y'all ain't caught that yet, they're killing hostages and all. They don't give a fuck right now. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. They are killing everybody. These motherfuckers might as well be Brazilian SWAT, dog. Ain't nobody gonna make it out. Everybody gonna die. I mean, that's how bad they are. And this is why I can point out that police officers have poor training. You see what I'm saying? They're really not mentally equipped to go into a situation where they could possibly die, because they tell themselves it's a dangerous job. But that detective, to approach a vehicle that was known to have possibly been used in a homicide on any other level other than alert and ready to kill something, you don't need to be a detective anymore. That should have been the moment he was retired, not cost me my life. Now I have 5 children who are going to have to grow up without me. Right on. My wife is going to have to go on without me. You see what I'm saying? It's like he really was selfish. Excuse me. Had to spit. But anyway, he was super selfish. And I remember being at boot camp. I will never ever forget, man. I want to say the guy's name was Vasquez. I don't remember his first name. But he told us, he said the most selfish thing you could do if you ever deploy, he said the most selfish thing you could do is come home in a body bag. That's the most selfish thing you could do. So I told myself then in that very moment, if I ever leave my home and there's somebody who expects me to come back, I have to do everything within me to come back home because they're expecting me to. Right. Has nothing to do with anything else. I can't stress how much the Most High God has really blessed my mind. You know what I mean? I can't stress how kind He's been to me. This entire situation has been a blessing. But one of my issues is when I get to see these situations, it's like I'm the only one who calls it out for what it is. Like, let's talk about a Tatiana Jefferson, right? Let's talk about how before I said what I said, there were no murder charges for this dude. But let's just talk about Amber Geiger for a moment. Amber Geiger was indicted almost immediately afterwards. Okay? So, she was charged, let out, then she got indicted for real. Listen, y'all, I want y'all to understand this. It took them almost to the end of the week to figure out that dude should have got charged with murder. It's like, really? And everything that I said in the video was what they used as their premise. What I'm trying to do right now is just show you guys, like, we can take it back to where I forget after what shooting had took place, but the one guy said that he had got sniped in his chest, the little deputy dude in California. And I was like, man, that shit just sounds suspect. A few days later, they come and find out that he was lying. Listen, y'all, I know a little, I know just a little bit. I know poquito. Can you dig it? But as little as it is, as small as it is, pimp, I still know something. Can you dig it? I still know that. And that's the part that I'm trying to stress to y'all is we're at a crucial junction where they're going to be able to say be careful of what you say. I know you're thinking, I don't say stuff like that, but you could never know how they're taking it. You could never know. Listen, they called this dude anti-Semitic because of what? Because he said that the Jews who were here now were imposters. Made him anti-Semitic. That's red flag worthy. So you can't even tell the real truth. But now here goes the part that's really going to mess you guys' head up. Let's go back to chapter 91 again. Let's read that part about blasphemers, right? And those who plan violence. It says, and those who plan violence and those who commit blasphemy shall perish by the sword. You don't think it's blasphemy to say that the Most High God's people are 12 different genetic nations of the world? Listen, some of the people that they're trying to claim are the Israelites are more genetically related to white people than they are black people. So the idea that there would be no white tribes of Israel is hard to believe if you're a Jewish dude. Look at it from their point of view. Follow me now. The real blasphemy is in the fact that the 12 tribes are all one people who all look a certain distinct way. Can you dig it? Because it's not viewed like that, because it's not seen like that, people have a hard time following what I'm getting at. But let's just look at it from a genetic point of view. All these people can have their genome tested. First off, they're going to look similar on their physical appearance. All right? And then with that said, right, they're going to have a similar, if not the same genetic structure. Granted, there will be people you have to account for blood mixing and things like that. Point is this. Calling these people fake Jews is room to get your ass red flagged. Okay? It's deep, y'all. They killed him. Everybody who died in these shootings got body bagged and got toe tagged. Believe that. Every single one of them. Am I supposed to feel bad or feel some type of way? Am I supposed to cry for him? Nope. You shouldn't either, unless you know them and you care about them, I guess. I don't mean to sound heartless. I don't mean to sound like I'm still here. Only the living can worship the Most High God. Can you dig that? Only the living can worship the Most High God. Before I get ready to head out, I just want y'all to know how things are going right now for me and my own personal red flagistan. They pushed out my next court date till March 18th. So not until next year am I going to get to see a judge. Over 3 months I have to wait to see a judge. Can you dig that? Now I go back to court again next week for this other stuff. But because that's still going on, I'm going to have to still come back to court every once in a while just to deal with that nonsense. You see how disrespectful they are? I need y'all to understand something, man. They can't make me feel bad because they can't do their jobs and they're inadequate. Word? I don't feel bad because people who are supposed to be... Listen, they claimed in Seattle that they changed the entrances to the courthouse, right? Now, I'm telling y'all, this is a recent happening, and I think it really only happened after the dude did what he did in Jersey. And they could say it's all these assaults and it's all these poor people acting crazy. But they got scared. Word? And for the first time, I'm actually seeing legitimate fear in those people's faces when I go out there because now they're not sure. You know how many Habibus live out there in Seattle? You know how many black Hebrew Israelites are out there in Seattle? Huh? Disenfranchised niggas? Huh? A bunch. See, I'm going to tell y'all something. Most of you guys should already really know this, but just in case you didn't. The way that white people tell the story, they would have you to believe that they're the fiercest warriors ever to ever touch this earth. But the more you see the articles, it's telling you exactly how it is that they obtained this country. And all the other things that they have in this world through nefarious means. Look, I feel bad for the UPS dude. I mean, it sucks, but the police murdered you, bro. Your family should be suing the police. Suing them. For a dereliction of duty, bro. How they handled the situation was totally improper. Like, I'm thinking about it and I'm like, yeah, if that was my relative, I would be trying to get all those motherfuckers sued. But that's the thing, though. You could make more money suing 18 dudes than you probably can suing their department. Because assuming that you was able to successfully take these guys to court and get settlements, you know, a judge is not going to say that all these dudes aren't responsible. I can't sue the families of these dudes, word, and I don't care about none of that because they took from me what I value the most, what I love the most. So it doesn't matter. If the state wants to pay for it and the state feels like, you know, like they want to foot the bill for their officers, then fine. But if the state feels like they're not responsible for that, then these officers need to pay for that. It's that simple. Look, man, they lock people up every day because they can't pay fines. Because they don't have the money to do that. And they put their asses in jail for inordinate amounts of time, bro. Saying that this period that you spent in jail, right, is somehow severance for what you owed. But just by you being there in the facility, they get paid, they get compensated. So they're doubling down on you. They're making money off you, then they're going to say, okay, you know what? Now you don't owe us any more money because that's money that we can let go into the system. Black people, I would love for you guys to really see where this shit is going. I don't know if there's another 6 strong months left of people acting like they're even so-called healthy in their minds. It is getting crazy. And the crazier it gets, the more you can't predict anything. like as far as like what people are going to do. But I can see what's coming. Like, and the writing on the wall is clear is that there's going to be a serious skirmish that leads to, beyond the feds now, National Guard being called in. And once that takes place, the white gloves are off. I don't even know what to think after that. I mean, like, at that point, I'll probably be ready to give up myself because I'll know that there's no hope. As far as like, telling you guys anything, if there was a bang out between any group of people with law enforcement, I would probably stop and just watch and see what happens after that, because at that point people can really bet their top, middle, and bottom dollar that everything would ramp up pretty quickly. I mean, what happens when they determine that any black person who's ever spoke about the Black Hebrew Israelites, even though, like I said, that title is inappropriate because it should just be Hebrew Israelite. There shouldn't be black before it. Word. And if you wanted to be technical, you could just say Israelites, because in order to be an Israelite, you have to be a Hebrew. That's a little thing. That's not a big thing. That's a little thing to be aware of. Okay. But they could say just by you speaking on them, you're toast. Now what? Right. Just by you knowing somebody who knows these guys, you're toast. Right. There's no telling where they're going to take this shit. Best believe the NSA, ATF, FBI, DEA, depending on who all they can get involved, they're putting together dossiers right now on all the so-called players who they believe could be the next person to have something go down. I didn't tell y'all this, but I'm going to tell y'all this now. The ATF came by my apartment the other day, right? And they was talking to my roommate, and they was asking him about the situation that I'm currently going through. And what I thought was funny was that the ATF themselves took note that I don't have any convictions, and that, well, that's Seattle and this is Tacoma. Trying to understand how I have an ERPO is really hard for them to do right now, because they're sure that they're positive that for some odd reason they think that they know that I done something wrong, even though there's no real indication of that. You follow what I'm saying? Like, they can see that what I've done is so let me reword that, because I meant what I said, but just better context. They know that what the police officers are saying about me, it's not clear to say that I've done that, because I don't have a record that speaks to that. You see what I'm saying? And one of the guys, he understood the area of Pioneer Square, and it's just funny because how can somebody be talking to me, but you can't even relate the geology? Alcohol, tobacco, and firearm. One second. Go. 1 second. Alcohol, tobacco, tobacco, and firearms. And yeah, these cats they're not really who they say they are. You know what I'm saying? That's not nothing for me to brag about. That's how real my life is. You know what I'm saying? I'm going through real life stuff. They're not. You know what I mean? That's how they can amass so many viewers. When you're actually somebody who does what you're supposed to do. When you can actually feel the world trying to break you down, it's a way different feeling. And I felt the world trying to break me down now for the last year and a half. And I haven't given up, and I haven't given in. And that's a powerful feeling. That's an awesome feeling to know that I haven't surrendered anything to them. You know. Excuse me. As outrageous as it is, sister, I need that so that way I can try to show people, like, look, man, what's going on in my life is real. What's going on in my life is real life. You know, not some fairy tale story where I get to make hashtags and show everybody how pretty my family is. Or it's real life. And people talk about the police coming to your home and this, that, and the other. It's like, I don't know how many encounters I've had with the police in my life. Innumerable. So it's different when your whole life is, like when you've really lived the life that cats try to talk about, they're not really about it. And it's really frustrating because here I am, I'm in the middle of red flagistan. Can't nobody tell you better how to prepare yourself to what to do when you get an ERPO than me. And a lot of guys would be like, yeah, right. I'm like, I'm still free. I'm the guy to listen to. You don't listen to one of these dudes who got caught up making online. Everything that they've said about me, I can dispute because they can't render a piece of evidence. It's all hearsay. There is no digital footprint of me anywhere, nothing. Word. They can't prove shit. So, when you have that kind of, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. When you have that sort of underlining circumstance where you can't just ignore it because it's part of your life right now. I can act like the shit doesn't bother me, but it does bother me because I'm seeing how poorly trained the officers are all around the country. And I'm like, these are the people that are supposed to take over and take charge in case something bad happens. I'm like, I see why 8 people got killed on the base. Because the police had to protect them. Word. I see why all those people died in that supermarket. Because the police had to do it. I see why that young man was murdered in the UPS van and the older gentleman driving his car. Right. They have put in the brig, there are men who will never see the light of day again for similar actions that these police officers have committed outside of the country. Now, granted, there's people who've done atrocious and egregious acts that have never been checked. But if you get caught doing something in the military, they will crucify you. And the fact of the matter is, the fact remains, and it can't be disputed. It's kill everything. Leave nothing to question. See, there's a movie called Red State that Kevin Smith made years ago, like 8 years ago. And the movie's very interesting because it's about a cult of underground like Christian people who were super duper zealots. And they, long story short, short story shorter, these teenager boys are doing some unscrupulous stuff. So they set them up. And the premise of the movie was that these guys are a cult. But the craziest part is that at some point the FBI and the DEA sends this order down to kill everybody. Word? And it's just hella fucking crazy because that's from a movie almost a decade old, right? And in the movie, it illustrated, like there's this part getting to the end where this young lady and this young dude are trying to get up out. And this chick is trying to explain, she's like, there's babies in there. He's like, yeah. Blast them. Right on. He's not even trying to hear it. Kills them both. Because he's got his orders. So sometimes I feel like these dudes are just following their orders. They feel like if you want to go home at night because you've had officers be on the receiving end of some punishment these last couple months that they for sure did not want to be on the receiving end of. Another thing, that dude who shot it out with the police in Philly, see, he was the start of something bad for them. Because once again, if you can't get one scrub, there's no way you can get two, and they showed y'all that. The only way they don't call in the military is if they start to use explosive devices quite ordinarily on the people. Like how they killed old boy who supposedly was Michael West or something like that? I forget the dude's name. You know, who shot the cops down there in Dallas or whatever. But that brother, him, and they never actually proved that he did anything. However, that dude, right? They sent the drone in there to blow his ass up. Said, damn all that. So when I know that that's the case, I know that that's an option. I know that that's a feasible plan. The only thing I can tell myself is that, well, Black Wall Street, they blew shit up. And then I want to say in the 60s in Philadelphia, they dropped that bomb in the city. I don't see why now with the so-called smarter technology, they wouldn't be willing to, let's say, fly a drone that has enough explosives on it into a window and just blow up the entire infrastructure, or enough of it to assume death. Word? Like, there's no stopping them now. Because them getting their wall torn down, we're back to the Jewish market, them getting that wall torn down, I wonder if, with the insurance and all that stuff, it would have been cheaper and more cost effective to just have thrown a bomb in there. If you were going to kill everybody anyway. Right. See, it's really hard to convince me that the police officers didn't kill the young man down there when the cop who's speaking for him says himself, in a perfect world, bullets would only hit the bad guys. In a perfect world, there would be no active shooter situations. Right. In a perfect world, there wouldn't even be guns. Stupid. But that just shows you how little he knows. Straight fucking Gentile. Excuse my language. That's why I can't stand them. Because they don't know anything. And they have everything. Can't stand them. They're stupid. I don't let my can't stand them turn into anger so much like I used to, but I'm getting better. Anyhow, let me ask you all this. What makes you think that it's going to change at all? It's not going to change. It's going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. You live in California, it's going to get crazy there. Before it gets whatever, it's going to get crazy. You live in Texas, it's going to get crazy. It's already been heated up in Florida. Florida going to stay on fire. The states where the wall's supposed to be built, that's where I see red flags stand affecting the most next. Don't worry, y'all. I'm about done anyway. And on this note, it's never going to be easy. You know what I'm saying? But you can still do your best. And that's the truth. And I say that with you, say that to you, say that for you, and say that by you. And about. You can always do your best, even when the answer or the outcome is not clear. You can always put forth your best foot. That's never the wrong thing or a bad thing to do. Saying that, black people, all the people that have been red flagged, body bagged, and toe tagged, got nothing to do with you. You stay alive. Can you dig that? Keep beating the odds. keep making them look stupid. Because eventually, gonna be able to stand up to the side and slow clap on them.